Ayomide here, and you already know what time it is. We're back for another episode of the World Without People podcast. More voices, more real stories, and even deeper conversations that challenge the way we see the world. This season, we're peeling back even more layers, exploring life, love, purpose, and the beautiful complexities of the human experience. New guests, fresh perspectives, and of course, the same unfiltered, soul stirring energy you love. So, whether you've been rocking with us since day one or you're just joining the adventure, welcome. Grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's keep the conversation going, one unforgettable story at a time.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to season 3 of The World Without People. My name is Ayomide and I am so excited to be here with you today. I'm excited to be starting season 3. I can't believe it's already season 3. I already got some messages. Where have you been? I did say February, guys. I did say February. And we're back and we're going to be bigger and better. And if you're not seeing a computer, actually, you guys never actually see a computer, but you might notice that this is a little different, it's a little sharper, maybe the sound is a little different. And that's because we've done like we promised, and I'm sitting right now in front of a camera, which is very interesting. But I'm looking forward to this transition, and like I said, the conversations we're having, most of them we're going to try for in front of a camera. Otherwise, we'll go virtual if we need to. But either ways, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm so excited that you guys are going to be joining me on this journey as usual. I want to shout out all the people, like I said, who reached out, all the people who are my day one listeners. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Thank you for even reminding me that marriage does not stop me from doing my podcast. And I will shout out my husband for setting up the video and the camera and all of that good stuff. Thank you. And so shout out to all the newcomers as well, especially all of you who are coming as a result of Day. I am very excited. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I hope you stick with me on this journey as well. So many things to talk about. I don't even know where to start, but I think one of the things I've been thinking about lately is just how much I'm deeply grateful for family. As some of you know, I'm beginning to, transition fully to moving back to Nigeria, hoping to, be fully here by the end of the year. And I cannot tell you how much I am grateful for family and friends. Shout out to my mother-in-law. She's quite literally bought food so many times, tried to be like, I've been teasing her that she's afraid that I'm going to run back. But no, she's just been really, really amazing. And so has my mom. Like, I've still not yet gone to the market. Okay, actually, I went with both of them one day. But, just being able to rely on them for this and that has been quite helpful. And you guys, you wouldn't believe it, and maybe you would, maybe some of you would, but I didn't realize how much I was a novice about Nigeria. I mean, for someone who comes here every year, and in fact, my pastor told me something. He said, you have a warped view of Nigeria. Stop saying Nigeria. You know Lagos, and that is true. Lagos is where I was. I was born in Ibadan, but where I was bred before I left. And honestly, I can't think all of Nigeria is like Lagos, right? It's not. But more importantly, I didn't realize how much being away, especially in your formative years, kind of changes how you think about things. So I'm going to confess this really, really embarrassing story. But one of the things I really believe in is if you can't laugh at yourself, then you won't be able to, I guess, laugh with others. But anyways, so we get back from honeymoon, and by the way, I was sick throughout. I was sick. Even all those pictures you saw of me, the pictures of the wedding, I was sick. All of that, I was just sick. And so I come back, and I'm still sick, and we move into the house the very next day. And by the way, the house was just stacked. It was bare, it was empty, we hadn't put anything, as you can imagine. And it's so funny because everybody keeps telling me, that's normal, we had just one bed, or we had just one couch, or we slept on the floor. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? No, my brain does not function like this. Either way, I don't even think we had a bed. We didn't have a bed. We was just dysfunctional. But, love it. And, the next day, like I said, I'm sick. And so a friend comes over and is like, oh, let me go help you put something on the fire. Do you guys have gas? And I was perplexed. I'm like, what do you mean, gas? What do you actually mean by gas? And so that was how we went about the business of going to buy a cylinder and going to get, gas. And it's mind blowing how such a simple thing makes you realize how ignorant you can be. And so, yes, I've always loved Nigeria, but understanding some of the nuances of a lived experience here is so much different. And I am speaking to everybody who's outside of the country at the moment and things they know about all the inner workings of Nigeria. You don't know anything, you can't complain about anything unless you have lived. And I mean lived, not like, you come in for vacation, because this is the longest time I've been in Nigeria for the last 20 years. I would come in, the most I'd ever come in was 3 months. So you can imagine just how much different some of these things are. And it's not because I didn't know, but I think sometimes it's the way we see it, right? So when my mom would complain about, oh, things are expensive or things are changing, and I'm like, Mommy, what are you talking about? It's not that expensive. And sometimes I would fix the problem with money, and not because I had this astronomical amount of money, but it was just the idea that this is not really a problem. It's just because we don't have this or we don't have that, or because of how Nigeria is. And well, yes, some things are a problem. The fact that we are not producing anything is a problem. I'm looking to buy an ironing board, and it's 250,000 for something that's about $20 on Amazon. It drives me crazy. I want to ship everything. I'm likely going to ship everything, but I have the opportunity to ship everything. And so what do we do about the fact that we need to iron and we need a hard surface to iron, and we can't produce something? I mean, the only other way is to commission someone to make a table for me, and maybe it is even possible to make an ironing board. I will have to go and find out the logistics, but I think that's some of the joy that I'm experiencing in being here. I want to see where there are gaps and how I can maybe play a part in filling that gap. Now, I'm not saying I have all the answers. Please don't. I'm not one of those, I can solve everything and I know everything. I know nothing. That's absolutely not the case. But I do think that I like the fact that my brain is thinking about solutions, about things, rather than just complaining and rather than just being complacent. I feel like, living in America so long, I never had to deal with so many issues, especially related to housing, right? You quite literally got your trash bag picked up in front of your apartment, like fifth floor apartment. I'm not talking about even in front of your house. So, there's some things that are so basic. You don't even have to worry about electricity or gas on your stove. I mean, apart from you not paying your bills, and even with that, they would give you grace. You would be able to cook for the most part. So imagine that I don't have gas today. There's nothing I can do. There's no social services. There's nobody that's going to extend anything for me. I mean, gas is even one of those things that you can't go and borrow from a neighbor. So you can imagine that there are people who, because they cannot buy gas in their cylinder for that day or for that week, because of financial issues, not be able to cook. And that's the implication of some of these things that, when we say things are hard and we have to do better for one another and we have to make Nigeria better, those are some of the things that I'm now beginning to have a better understanding of and a better empathy for. And it's really breaking my heart, and it makes me I'm happy that I'm here, and I'm looking forward to some of the conversations and some of the action that will take place in the coming years to make things better for as many people as we can. And again, I say that because, like I heard somebody say in a show that I like, it's that I'm not the engine, I'm a cog in the engine. It's an important piece of the engine, but it's not the most important piece. And I think that's okay, right? I think that's how we have to start to see the value we bring into everything that we do. And it reminds me of of my favorite Bible story. It really is my favorite Bible story. I don't know why, but it talks about how Jesus is instructing Moses to build the temple, and he tells Moses, I have given Bezalel the skills to do this, and that. And I like the fact that it shows that there's diversity in the skills that he gave him. So he didn't give him skills to do one thing. He says I gave him skill to do the stonework and the woodwork and, whatever he needed to do with the bronze and the gold and the silver and all of that. So he gave them diverse skills to do that, right? Because think about it, right? It's not typically, for example, I did public health. I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not a medical doctor. I have a PhD, right? So again, very different lines, right? But for example, within public health, right, there's health education, there's nutrition, there's environmental. So it's almost like having that general public health degree that allows you to be able to go into any of those fields and still be able to be efficient and effective. And that's what it talks about giving him various skills. And then it goes further to say that I've also given them the skill to teach others. And for me, that's the most fantastic part of this whole thing. Like, it's that skill to teach others that makes me joyful and have hope of what it is possible to do in this world with whatever time you're given. So I guess what I'm trying to say in all of this is, one, I'm grateful for family. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this amazing country, Nigeria. As much as I love the US and as much as I love my family in the US, I am grateful for the opportunity to be here. But I'm also grateful for the opportunity to be able to teach others. And I think that's what I want you guys to get from this small rant I've just gone on, that we are all called to teach others. You can teach someone how to smile. But it's one of the biggest compliments I've gotten in Nigeria so far. You're always smiling. I don't understand. I don't think I smile that much. But whatever the case is, I think it's important that people notice that you smile and are able to even see. I quite literally had it where someone is like, oh, you're not smiling today, is everything okay? And that should matter, because it means that I am teaching someone, hopefully, the importance of just bringing that joy, being able to come into a room and bring that light. It's in my own doing that hopefully someone is learning, right? And is taking that and is observing that and is utilizing that. You can teach someone how to dress. You can teach someone. So my point just being that you don't even have to talk, right? But guess what? I think that there's even much more we can do by then talking and showing, and in every sphere that we find ourselves being able to teach. Like, for example, I'm learning from my mom and my mother-in-law how important it is to take care of my children even in older ages, and to bring their husbands or their wives into the home and make them feel loved and wanted and appreciated, and nothing is missing, and just being there for them. So those are the things that I've been learning, and it's been teaching me and making me think a lot about the idea of teaching others, and that we are all called to do that. I really do believe that, because when the Bible says that do everything excellently as if unto the Lord, I think that that's one of the most important things that we can do, is one, be excellent in all that we can do. That inadvertently teaches people to do that, to emulate that. But then in the capacity, in our strength, in our abilities, we also must, with words and with action, teach others. And I want to encourage you to do that. I think that there is maybe not a lot of talk about that. We just do. It's all about amassing wealth. And, money is great, all of that is great. But I hope this year, maybe one thing you can do and add as a goal for this year is to teach others. Okay, I'm going to stop preaching to the choir. I'm hoping that all of you know this, but anyways, I'm going to stop preaching. Okay, so I also have a very interesting thing that happened to me, and I think, well, it's happened to me lately, and I think it's one of those things where, you know how you always say you cross that bridge when you get there? Well, I crossed that bridge, and what's that bridge? It's that bridge of what would you do if you saw a friend, or in this case, maybe not a friend, but someone I know, you see her or his partner with someone else. And honestly, it was the most disappointing thing I've ever seen. It's somebody who I respect, even though I'm not necessarily friends with this individual. And so seeing their partner with someone else, it really, really broke me. And I've been thinking a lot about it, about, oh, you always thought you would be able to tell the person and, you know, whatever happens, you just, at least you know that you've done the right thing. And I realized that while the truth is always the truth, I don't know, maybe there are gray areas between a right and wrong, right? So, for example, in this case, what will be the benefits? What will this do for this person? Maybe ignorance is bliss. I don't know. And I honestly, even after I feel like sleepless nights, I do not know what the correct thing to do.
Hey everyone, if you're enjoying the podcast, please don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, or share button. Whether you're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or YouTube, your support helps us to reach more people. Stay tuned for more amazing conversations, and thank you for being a part of our community.
Is what I do know is that as I've grown older, right and wrong, again, I don't want to say it's a gray line. I just think that there's a wisdom in how you approach things. Maybe in my younger age, I would have definitely told the person, consequences be damned. But in a case where this involves family, this involves children, business, and all kinds of things, or all kinds of things, I think giving yourself a pause, right? Don't be the bearer of bad news. I don't know. I don't know if this is the right thing. I just think that, like I said, it was one of those, I'll cross the bridge when I get there, and I got there and I knew that at this, or maybe what it is for this individual, it was none of my business, right? Now, I thought about if this was a best friend's partner in one way or the other, right? Or if the person was my friend, like, so let's say in this case, for example, the guy in the situation was my actual guy friend, so I know his wife or I know his girlfriend or whatever, and it's my guy friend who I see who's with another person. Like, what do you do? Or what would I have done? Would I have said hi? Would I have walked away? Would I have hidden myself? Like, what would I have done? I really don't know. I don't know the answer, but I'm posing it to you guys. How do you deal with the right and wrong, especially in light of, one, being a child of God, but two, I think just the maturity of how you deal with things, right? And maybe three is one of the things I like to think about, or how I like to guide myself. Again, I think it goes back to the word of God, though. It says, how does the Bible say? Think highly of others much more than yourself, right? And love others as you love yourself. So, given those two Bible verses, if I'm loving myself, or if I'm loving others as I love myself, am I type the person? Or do I not, right? Is that how I show love, right? I know, again, one of the things we, like during counseling, one of the things we talk about is how love is telling the truth. So you don't lie because you love the person. You actually tell the truth because you love the person. And if you love yourself, I'm assuming then you want to be told the truth. Do you see how this is a dilemma? It just becomes one of those, if not, yes, maybe. It was a lot. And it was something that I dealt with for a few days. And so I guess I'm posing it to you guys to say, what would you do? What should I have done? Have you ever crossed that bridge? And how, like I said, maybe given the scenarios of maybe this person is not my friend versus this person is my friend, how do you make the final decision and be comfortable with that decision, right? Like I said, it took me a couple of days to be comfortable with my decision of not saying anything. But I'm curious how you get comfortable with that decision. So I'm going to leave that there. And I hope to see all your responses in the comments and in the chat. Okay, so what else did I want to tell you today? So yes, I think the final thing that I did want to talk about today was just on relationships, right? So again, you've gotten married and, oh, I'm not expecting to see you for 6 months. Oh, it happens. You're so busy. Everybody expects to not hear from you. I've been feeling some kind of way about that. I feel like, please look for me. Like, I want to talk to you. Yes, I may not have the headspace, but I think it's less about, marriage. I think it's less about my partner. I think what I've come to realize, and I don't know if you guys remember from my last episode, no, well, not my last episode, but my Rich Auntie episode, I think Dami and I had talked about something like this about, how friendship changes a little bit with, once one person gets married. And I realized I don't think for me it's been about my friendship as much as it's been about my headspace. So it's not been about, oh, Demlande and I are doing this, or Demlande and I are doing that, or I'm so, in love with Demlande that he's the only one I want to see. No. But for me, for example, it's been trying to put together a house, right, in a country that I have not lived in with quote unquote standards that I'm not used to. So, for example, I could have ordered every single damn thing that I needed in this house, and it would have gotten to me in a matter of hours, right? Hours. Here, I have to pay somebody to do the work, and they take the time that it takes, and they don't do it as nicely as I want it to be done, or as correctly. I mean, I found myself project managing on the house. Now, everybody, also has been like, oh, you take your time, you don't let this thing stress you. Settling down can take up to a year. My brain does not function that way. I've needed to be able to find my clothes, for example. And so if I can't find my clothes because things are piled somewhere, it was driving me crazy. It was quite literally giving me like sleepless nights, right? I needed my office. I needed to be able to record my podcast. And even with that was some of the delay in recording my podcast. So for me, efficiency has been so much more, or it's very important to me. Let me say that efficiency is very important to me. And so for me, it's less about not having time for the friendships. I think for me, I realized, and maybe that's what's happening for every couple. And I say this in case, you're wondering why your friend is not available to you. They've changed since they got married. Maybe put that into consideration a little bit. It's taken me over a month. We got back in December, and this is February. It's taking me over a month to get this set up, just to be able to record a podcast, like quite literally get something functional where I am not just haphazardly doing it. And I think that tells you, and by the way, I did this in record time with the barest minimum, right? Because I just had to do what I had to do. And this is not one of those things. Nigeria, unfortunately, is not one of those places where you can just throw money at the thing. Money doesn't really solve the problem. If the artisan cannot do it, if the artisan is not available, if the artisan is not good. I mean, I've had someone break my shower glass already. I've had to, I had to deny people their pay because they didn't do the work properly, or things like that. It's not exactly, like I said, me ordering from Amazon or IKEA or Wayfair and it's getting here today. And so it's not something that you can just set up today. You're relying on multiple people. So for example, we're changing the sink and we're relying on the plumber as well as the person who's going to provide the sink, as well as the person who's going to have to change the marble because the new sink is smaller than the space that was allocated for the old sink. I mean, could potentially have taken one day could become a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Anyways, I say all of that to say, maybe give your married friends, newly married friends, a break if you can. I mean, I get it. Friendships are important, and I can't wait to start hanging out with all of my friends. I've really not been able to do any of that, quite literally. Add work, and, again, family obligations, and it really does become a thing. And then, you had one family obligation, now you have 2 family obligations, right? And so it really does multiply, quote unquote, the stress, right? And I think it's not even just the female, because sometimes you can feel like it's the female that has a lot of that change, especially because, yes, you're the one primarily making it a home. You're the one primarily wanting, I'm the one who wanted a sink. I mean, he wanted the washer thing for the glass with the sink, but I'm the one who wanted the sink, or I'm the one who wanted to change toilets and things like that. Primarily, it's my thing, and he has to help me, get that. But in that sense, I still think it's not just the women, it's also the men. They also have to figure out how to work with you to get you what you want, and then know what their role is versus, my role, right? Or some things that are working together. I, for example, don't know where the meter is for the light. So if the light goes off and he's not around, I'm in a whole world of trouble. And I know that the feminists are probably going to be angry with me. I'm so sorry. I'm for independence and knowing everything, and being able to fix your car if there's an issue. But some things I really don't want to have to deal with, and I think it's okay that somebody else can help me deal with that, especially in the context of this country, like I said. But I think it's giving me a new realization on being empathetic, or being able to understand where your friend is, after marriage. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting because I've been arguing with people about I needed to settle down in a couple of months, and I will say I'm probably a lot more settled than most anybody, because efficiency is quite literally what makes me productive, and I like to be productive. But I really have a newfound respect for that time period of transitioning, and like I was telling somebody, the cleaving part of it as well, because nobody tells you, or nobody can really explain to you what it means when they say, man and wife are coming together and they're cleaving to one another. It's a real interesting thing, because now you're finding how to work together as one, how to communicate together as one, how to just figure things out as one. You no longer call, that other person, maybe your mom, your dad, or you can't call mom, dad, just nobody to call, right? There's nowhere to hide. There's just, it really is a cleaving, and it's a very interesting process. But I have done enough talking about myself today, and I can't wait to start sharing more with the guests. And I know you guys are going to have a fabulous time this season. Like I said, we're going to be talking culture, love, relationships, faith, the Brazilians, fitness, finances, all things we can jam pack into 22 episodes. So see you guys every 2 weeks. And please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends at TWWPcast. Send us your feedback. We want to hear from you. Please send us a DM. I'm looking forward to this, and I'm also looking forward to engaging with you guys more. So please reach out. I'll be happy to talk more and share. But anyway, shout out to hubby for helping me put together this video, and helping my setup. I'm really grateful, and shout out to the team behind the scenes for all the work they've already done and will be doing throughout the year. Season 3 is going to be great, guys. Please join us and please share. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate all of you, and I wish you all a fantastic year ahead. I'm signing out, Ayomide, for The World Without People Season 3.
Thank you for joining me in today's episode. Just like you would share with friends about a great book you read, don't forget to share this if you enjoyed it. Connect with us on IG and Twitter at TWWPcast, and get details on the website at worldwithoutpeople.org. And hey, remember to make loving others the story of your life. Until next time, this is The World Without People.